Please welcome to the stage, Derrek Carriveau. Derrek!
All right, hello. So yes, my name is Derrek, and I'm from Florida. That's right, so I'm from Florida, which means every single year, right around the first snowfall, I think to myself, my God, what the hell have I done? Right? So it's like I could be in Florida where it's not snowing. So I question every year at the first snowfall, and then I realize that I don't need to question because I have already found the answer to why I'm here. And of course I found that answer in Niebo. That's right. So most people search for questions, search for answers so they can get to heaven. I went to heaven and found the answers. That's right. Now, as I said, I am from Florida. I lived many years in Tampa. And in Tampa, Florida, there's this small bar called the Tiny Tap. Very imaginatively named, yes. So it's a small bar, lots of taps, Tiny Tap. That's how it works. And the nice thing about the weird thing about the Tiny Tap is it's one of the few places that if you ordered the right thing, if you were to drink Miller Lite, and I really don't know why you would, but if you were to drink Miller Lite, it's cheaper than Coca-Cola. And I only found this out when I went to the bar with a friend of mine and his wife. And the wife was the designated driver. So the guy goes and buys a Coke and a beer. And he comes back and he is so happy. I've never seen this guy so happy because his beer was cheaper than his wife's Coca-Cola. So for the rest of the night, it's like, well, you know, we could stay longer, but you know, Jennifer's Cokes are really expensive. Yeah, we'd love to sit around and play another game of pool, but Cokes, right? And so this is really the only place in all of Tampa where you can find one beer, albeit a really shitty beer, but one beer that's cheaper than Coke. So I find myself here in Wrocław. A friend of mine had convinced me to come. There was a job opening at the Polytechnic, and he said, Derrek, you need to come to Poland because the beer is good and the women are beautiful. And I am just that easy. So I'm on a plane the next day here in Wrocław, right? And so my friend he's showing me around, showing me how things work here. So for example, this is where you buy a ticket. This is how you validate the ticket for the tram. This is how you run away from the control officer because you haven't actually bought or validated your ticket. You know, this kind of thing. And he tells me, he goes, that the trams, they run until about 11:30. I say, what happens after that? He says, oh, well, that's when the night buses start running. Night buses. So once every 30 minutes or so, some dude is just going to drive your drunken ass home. It was amazing. I thought it was almost like I had made the system myself. So we were out. We were having some lunch, and he decides he wants to go see a movie. So we go by to Helios. And there's really nothing that I really want to see at Helios. So I tell him, I will go to Niebo, and you come get me after the movie. Now, I've only really been in Poland at this point for, I don't know, a week or 10 days. And the thing is, I have a notoriously bad sense of direction. At this point, I honestly cannot find my way home by myself. I have been to where I work only one time, and I could not find it again. Motherfucker, I could find Niebo, right? So I walk around, I go into Niebo, and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, has anybody been to Niebo? Normally you don't go to Niebo until about 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So I'm at Niebo for the first time anywhere even remotely sober. And so I'm sitting there, and there's not very many people there because it's Niebo at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I'm sitting there, I'm drinking a beer, and I'm looking up at their price list, the Cenik at the top, and I'm noticing, and this is going to date myself, this is back in 2004, that a beer, a Żywiec, was 5 zloty. And then I look over and I see that a 0.33 of water was 5 zloty. And I have this little revelation. I look there and I say, I am in a country where beer is cheaper than water. And some guy is going to drive my drunken ass home at 4 o'clock in the morning for another 2 zloty if I actually remember to buy a ticket. I thought, okay, so I'm drinking another beer, This was like only 5 zloty. At this point, the exchange rate, I still had American money. The exchange rate was 4 zloty to the dollar. So this was costing me like $1.25. Even cheaper than the Tiny Tap, right? For a ½ liter of beautiful, delicious Giviettes. And I'm thinking, this can't be right. I'm drinking beer to save money, because I can't afford to buy water, right? The water's too expensive for me right now. So I'm thinking this cannot be true, that in reality, I am somewhere in like Tampa General Hospital in a coma. And this is all just some kind of coma dream that I'm living in a country where, I'm going to say this one more time in case you didn't catch this, beer is cheaper than water, right? And so I think this can't be true. And then it starts to snow again, and I realize it must be. So, well, despite the snow, we still have the good beer and the beautiful women, and the trams, right? We have trams. Again, we don't really, again in Florida, we don't have very much public transportation, much in the way of public transportation. There's one bus, I think that runs on Tuesday or something, I'm not really sure what it is. But here all the time, we have the trams going, and it's a nice little system. I like it anyway. So, I get to Wrocław in August, and I was told that, if you're on a tram that's kind of full, and if an old person gets on, you need to give up your seat. Which, okay, that makes sense, right? I have no problems with that. And it was fairly easy to do so when I first got here. If the tram happened to be full and there was somebody old, you could just kind of stand up and get out of the way. Then October comes, and as I'm sure we all know that, at least by October, this is a very different city, right? So all the students are back. And at the time I was living out on Biskupen, so I got onto the tram relatively early in the whole journey. So I'm on this tram, which just every stop, just more and more people are jamming on this. It's like the last plane out of Saigon at this point. And I'm almost into town, and I'm sitting down, and I notice that there's this old lady standing right next to me. And this is just packed. And the thing is, at this point, I don't know how to say, "Would you like my seat?" in Polish. Okay, I still don't know how to say that, but at this point, I seemed a little self-conscious about it. So this old lady standing next to me, I'm sitting down, and so I feel terrible about this. So I try to get her attention, and I start pointing at my seat, looking at her, smiling, like pointing at the seat, right? And I think I'm trying to say, obviously, "Would you like to sit down?" When obviously what I'm saying is, "Would you like my cock?" And so here's this old lady who probably has one of these Polish old lady names like Wiesława or something, right? And I'm sitting there grinning and I'm pointing, and it just hits me just that second too late what exactly it is that I'm doing. So 2 months later, when Wiesława breaks up with me, well, I'm sorry, as I said, I like to go to Nebo, and she was all about going to Zielona Kogut. She was all about the cock. All right, thank you guys very much. It's been lovely.
Thank you, Derek.